As we all know, the only sure thing about weather is that it will change. So not only do you want to know the current picture like you get from the METAR, but you'd also like to know what's going to happen, the forecast. So the finest weather minds, looking at their shiniest crystal balls, give us a forecast for airports. They call it a TAF, the Terminal Airdrome Forecast, and it covers the area within a 5 nautical mile radius of the airport. Now with a TAF, they use the same abbreviations and basically the same order that you found in the METAR. The forecast weather will be given to you in this order: the wind, the visibility, significant weather, which as you remember means precipitation or obstructions to visibility, and cloud cover. It will not include temperatures and altimeter settings, because in aviation weather, those are observations, not forecast items. Let's take a look now at the TAF for Memphis, KMEM, and see what information it has to share with us. Now, the TAFs are issued 4 times a day, and they're valid for a 24-hour period. So first, you'll find the issue date and time. This one was issued on the 12th day of the month at 1720 Zulu, and it's valid on the 12th day of the month from 1800 Zulu until 1800 Zulu the next day. So beginning at 1800 Zulu, the first group of information gives us the forecast wind, and here the wind is forecast to be from 200 degrees relative to true north at a velocity of 12 knots. They're forecasting the visibility to be 5 statute miles, and they're also forecasting some significant weather. In this case, it's an obstruction to visibility, HZ, which stands for haze. Then you have the cloud information, a broken layer of clouds with bases at 3,000 feet. As with the METAR, you add 2 zeros to those cloud height numbers to get the actual height of the cloud basis. Next it says Prob 40. And no, it's not a ballot measure in the next election. In this example, it means there is a 40% probability that between 2000 Zulu and 2200 Zulu, you'll have visibilities of 1 statute mile. And that's because of some significant weather: thunderstorms and rain. The TS stands for thunderstorms and RA for rain. I'd call that pretty significant weather, all right. Also, they're forecasting clouds, an overcast layer of 800 feet, and the cloud type is CB or cumulonimbus. Cumulonimbus clouds, by the way, are the only cloud type that is forecast in the TAF. Other cloud types can be reported in the remarks section of a METAR, but in a TAF, all you'll see forecast are cumulonimbus or thunderstorm clouds. That's because they're so very important to us as pilots. Now let's take a look at the beginning of the next line of the Memphis TAF. FM stands for from, and what follows it will be a 4-digit time grouping in hours and minutes. In this case, 2200 Zulu, but it could be 2230 Zulu, or if the forecaster thought he was really sharp, he might make it 2215 Zulu, or even 2222 Zulu if he believed that's when a weather change would occur. But folks, no one's that sharp about the weather. So a from grouping indicates that you'll have a fairly rapid change in the weather occurring at about the time shown. Let's take a look at that line and read it across. Remember, the wind always comes first. The wind is forecast to be from 330 degrees at 15 knots. The G stands for gusting, so it's gusting to 20 knots. The visibility is forecast to be P 6 statute miles. The P stands for plus, and what that means is the visibility will be more than 6 statute miles. They're also forecasting a broken cloud layer with bases at 1,500 feet, along with another layer, an overcast layer with bases at 2,500 feet. And here's another Prob 40, a 40% probability that between 2200 Zulu and 0200 Zulu, the weather is going to get worse. How much worse? Well, the visibility is forecast to go down to 3 statute miles with rain showers. The RA stands for rain and the SH for showers. By the way, SH stands for showers whether you see it connected with RA for rain like here or SN for snow. Now let's take a look at the beginning of the next line where you'll find another from grouping. Beginning at 0200 Zulu, they're forecasting a wind from 350 degrees at 12 knots, and a cloud layer, an overcast layer with bases at 800 feet, with a 40% probability that between 0200 Zulu and 0500 Zulu, the visibility will be 2 statute miles with light rain and snow. Now the dash here means that the precipitation will be light, and it applies to the first precipitation given, which in this case is RA or rain. So you've got some light rain and some snow in your future. Next we have a becoming grouping. Now becoming means a more gradual change than from. The weather is expected to slowly change between the 2 times given here, which will normally be a 2-hour time period. So between the hours of 0600 Zulu to 0800 Zulu, the weather will be becoming or gradually changing to a wind from 020 degrees at a velocity of 8 knots. Now note here the letters NSW. That stands for no significant weather. In other words, the light rain and the snow that was previously forecast should end between 0600 and 0800 Zulu. Now they're also forecasting that the clouds will become broken with bases at 1200 feet. Now let's take a look at the beginning of the next line. Well, here's another becoming group. Again, remember that's a gradual change, and in this case it will occur between the hours of 1000 Zulu and 1200 Zulu. So between those hours, the wind will gradually become calm, because look at all those zeros. 0 velocity, 0 direction mean that they're forecasting a wind of 3 knots or less. The visibility will be changing to 3 statute miles, and you'll have BR or mist. Again, think of it as baby rain, which is significant weather because it's an obstruction to visibility. SKC stands for sky clear, so there won't be any clouds out there. However, tempo or temporarily between the hours of 1200 and 1400 Zulu, you'll have 1/2 statute mile visibility in FG, which stands for fog. Temporarily means that the weather is expected to last for less than an hour and will occur for less than half the time. So with this information then, what's the forecast visibility at Memphis between 1000 and 1200 Zulu? Well, let's go find out. Well, as we just saw, between 1000 and 1200 Zulu, it's going to be becoming 3 statute miles visibility. And it will stay that way until you get to the tempo group from 1200 to 1400 Zulu. Then it's temporarily going to go down to 1/2 statute mile in fog. But between 1000 and 1200 Zulu, it should be 3 statute miles. Now let's take a look at the next line and see what we've got there. Here's another from group, and from 1600 Zulu, the wind is expected to be variable at a velocity of 4 knots. You'll also have a visibility of +6 statute miles, and it says NSW for no significant weather and SKC for sky clear. Pretty good weather there at the end of that forecast. So now you know how to pull aside the shroud of mystery clouding those weather crystal balls. And while you still can't do anything about the weather, you'll find that as you become more familiar with TAFs, you'll be better able to make crystal clear decisions about weather and the effect it has on your flying.